Okay, so we're back. And some of the things that now we've talked a little bit about the lesson planning and what you need to have include in your lesson plans that you know that you're differentiating in the class. So generally speaking, okay, I'm not going to lie to you, it's a lot of work. Okay, it's not something that, you are going to finish everything that you have to finish in a day's time. You need to learn how to pace yourself, and you need how to prepare for a class, because this method of differentiation will not work if you don't become prepared. Preparation is the key to this, because if you're prepared and well prepared, the students will work quietly in their groups, they will be on task, and you will be able to finish everything that you've planned in advance. Okay, so one thing that I do need to stress here, that this is something that you're going to have, if your kids have never done it before, you're going to have to teach them about things at a gradual level. So one way that you can teach your children about how they're supposed to work in groups is you can do team building activities. So down on this YouTube, I'm going to give you a team building activity that was generated by Mike Collard. He is a renowned award-winning educational coach who goes out there and coaches teachers for a living. And he does amazing little types of different games and everything like this. So do yourself a favor and subscribe to his channel, because this will give you and your school a little bit of idea on how you can do this in the classroom as well as with your teachers. Okay, so right now I'm going to subscribe to his channel because I'm actually looking at it right now. Okay, so you might do a team building activity where your children understand that being in a group means they're part of the team. And what's a team? A team means that all the players give a little part of themselves in order to make a goal or make the team win, and this type of thing. So this is something you're going to have to teach the children, okay, that when they're grouped together and they're in their differentiated corners or centers or doing their activities with their boxes, that they are supposed to work together. That a team with just I is not a team, right? It's a you and a me. All right, so we have to understand, though, there is a fine line between differentiation and grouping. Differentiation means that usually the groups are heterogeneous grouping, okay? That their examples would be using reading materials at different levels in the classroom, that presenting ideas in different ways. Treasure hunts are amazing, okay? And meeting with small groups to teach a concept in a different manner at their levels, right? Grouping is more homogeneous, usually as you group. So maybe, but they can be both, okay? I've done both, all right? Grouping is homogeneous. It's possible to be grouped and not have activities that are differentiated. So you could do a worksheet on like the ABCs. And you give this group ABCs and this group ABCs and this group ABCs and this group ABCs. Just because they're in different levels, if they're still working on the same worksheet, you haven't differentiated. It's not differentiated at all. Okay? But if you give them a task, and this is what I've done it in older students, being differentiated in heterogeneous is better, in my opinion. But little kids, it's better to differentiate at homogeneous. Because you know that most of those kids that you're working one-on-one with in your small groups, maybe 4, maximum 5 kids in one group, then you know that you're reaching them because they're at a certain level, okay? But when they're in the classroom, you can put them in heterogeneous groups, okay, so that they can help each other achieve a task together. So for instance, I might decide that I'm going to have my small group. There's usually four levels there, and some schools only have 3 depending on how many students you have. But you give them a pre-assessment, try to understand where they are, what they're doing, what's their levels at. Maybe they're high in math and low in reading, or maybe they're really high in reading, but they can't grasp concepts in mathematics. They have no idea what science is. So you're going to have to do some type of pre-assessment to see where your students are. Okay, so once you know your students' levels, once you've taught them what it means to be a team, then you can assign team cards. And team cards can be anything. If you have an under the sea theme in your classroom, maybe your team cards are going to be a starfish, the starfish team, the clownfish team, the octopi, the sharks, and the sand dollars. Okay, it doesn't matter because now you've not placed like a level type of idea on each of those teams. Instead, that they understand that that's just the name that they picked. They can be on cards, they can be pictures, they can have the word. It doesn't matter how you ever want to do it, but that's going to show the kids that you didn't pre-select those teams, that those kids, they picked those teams from a hat at random, and that's the name of their team. So that means all the work that you give them, maybe it's a little bit easier, maybe it's a little bit harder, but that their work is going to be their work based on the team name that they picked from the hat. Okay? So when they're working in their centers, you pull aside maybe 3 or 4 kids from your class, you sit down with them. Maybe they're not the same as their heterogeneous group seating arrangements, but they are lower because you got them in a different type of grouping so that you know where their levels are. Because you know very well that even a child starts at a lower level, if they progress faster than their peers, they're going to be at a higher level later on. So that's why assessment is really important in this factor as well. So while you're working in a group, the other kids are doing their own thing. And as a teacher, you never want to have your back to the kids. You always want to have your face towards the children. So this is going to be dependent upon about how you balance your classroom out, how you manage the space that you've been given. Okay, so that's part 2 of this.